Welcome to the Exceller Author Podcast. And today we have with us esteemed speaker Debarati Ray, a bilingual poet, founder of Debarati Kontakunjo, and a practitioner of poetry as therapy. With a master's in English literature and a background in creative content, she guides students and listeners towards healing and deeper self awareness through verse and spoken word. Debarati asks in her book that is there a hidden energy we can feel around us, beyond the visible, quietly living inside? So let us join her as we turn inward, transcend ordinary thought, and listen for the gentle, guiding whispers beneath our daily noise. Breathe open your heart and let her subtle lyrical magic unfold. She has two beloved, acclaimed Bengali collections to her name, Mishti Bheja Shishtigulo and At the Red Bhalobasha, that weave reality and imagination together into soulful meditations on existence. So, ma'am, we are glad that you're here with us today on board, and I'm sure our audience will enjoy the conversation as much as we do talking amongst ourselves. Uh,
You so much.
how are you feeling? How are you feeling?
Thank you so much, first of all. Thanks to the entire team of Excella Books, and thanks to you also for inviting me. Thanks
Thank you,
to
ma'am.
Dr. Shudipta Ghosh and Ms. Anjita Ganguly for inviting me at this wonderful podcast. And today is a special day. Today is World Environment Day. And I'm very much delighted and honored to be here at this podcast. And on this special occasion, I think I would like to share with all of you a very short poem that's actually from one of my chapters in this book, A Voice to Explore. Let's pay some heed to the silent whispers. So there is one of the chapters that is let's tune with the rhythm of nature, transform and grow within. So let's read out the poem, just a very short poem.
Definitely.
Uh, yeah, thanks. Deep into the woods, as I stepped inside, I didn't know why, but I felt I needed to hide from all the cacophonies drumming outside, heralding their presence, harking me back to enjoy another graceful ride. Yes, they're introducing themselves, screaming aloud. Yes, we are that civilization instead. But Aristotle, for once, didn't feel like going back all at once. Rather, I felt like shedding off my shell to altogether, just to find the beauty within, just to have a sip of that eternal stream, flowing within the woods, keeping us unowned, that like her, we too have an eternal home beyond this hustle and bustle, beyond every morning when civilization knocks at our door, beyond this heraldic presence, where still we wander around some fruitless hopes. Yes, we too have that eternal home that still invites us to surf on a sweet lawn, to feel the idyllic beauty where twilight still descends over the blue hills and the dark pine forests still know how to grow with it. So we are very much natural, we are very much connected, we are very much aligned to our mother earth. That's the point I would like to convey with all of you on this special day. Thank you so much.
That's a wonderful way to begin the conversation and also bring forward to light that we are on the helm of World Environment Day. And I love how your poem talks about the inner connection with nature and how it's inherently a part of all of us, whether we are living in the city, whether we are in the woods, or whether we are close to nature. But nature, a part of nature always resides within us. We might ignore
Absolutely.
it, but it's always there.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
most of the time, we tend to forget that part. We tend to forget the
Yes.
gentle whispers of nature, our inner spark, also, our inner light, also. And go on to believe that we are fruitless, we have nothing to do, we deserve nothing. But that's not welcome. These kinds of negative thoughts, as we are very much close to nature and aligned to our mother earth. That's the point.
Right. Reminds me of Wordsworth's lines. I will rise now and go to Innisfree.
Yes, yes, of
Uh,
course.
from the Necala of Innisfree. Yes.
Yes, yes,
It's we are very much tired of the hustle bustle and the noise of the city,
yes.
but we fail to recognize that we are tired. We think this is normal. We
Uh-huh.
think this is the new normal. We should
Hmm.
conform
Hmm.
to.
Mm.
But there are times when, as you pointed out in your poem, that dormant identity in us that misses the nature, Mother Earth, it comes to the surface,
Mm.
and we go to Innisfree in our own sense.
Yes.
So, ma'am, in your book, you talked about surrendering ourselves to that higher level of intelligence.
Mhm.
So, do you think surrender is a form of weakness, or does it actually require strength?
No, it's not weakness actually. On a very superficial level of understanding, it may seem to us that the word surrender means that we are surrendering ourselves to someone else. So, this is a very weaker kind of personality. But I personally feel the strong soul, the soul who have the faith within, the powerful soul, they also have this power of surrender, and and the surrender is has a very deeper meaning within it. So, as it regenerates and rekindles within us that inner spark or that inner light that we have within since the primordial time of our existence. But we tend to
Mm,
forget about that inner light, that inner spark. So, surrender not to someone else, but surrender to the divine, surrender to the supreme power of intelligence. Herein lies the miracle, herein lies the mystery, herein lies the actual magic itself. So I was talking about that kind of surrender. So that kind of surrender reveals before us a kind of self reflection also. Uh, First, we need to connect with ourselves. First, we need to recognize ourselves. Then we can connect with the society as well. Then, with the connector, then we can connect with the community outside. That I mean to say. And that's why surrender is very much needed. And from one of the chapters of my book, I would like to read out that portion, a very small portion. That is, yes, the last chapter, surrender and feel the divine within. Uh, so if I read out the portion, and I think the moment you start to liberate yourself from that bondage or ego, quite automatically, you may start to believe in the highest force of intelligence. And herein lies the power of faith, the power of our being, that most of the time we tend to blur by the egoistical tendencies of our behavior. But there is a power of a divine light that is already within us. Though veiled on a superficial level, it is within the core of our souls since the primordial time of our existence. And herein lies the miracle of surrender, the miracle of transcendental consciousness that has the capability to enlighten us with the truth of divinity and make us believe that we are nothing but spiritual beings in human form. That's what I mean to say. I think you got your answer.
y- yes, definitely. It's a beautifully penned down articulation about man's strive for the answer that who they are, which has been coming from ages and ages since mankind came into existence. And your words also remind me of that conversation that Arjuna and Krishna had
Mhm,
right before Krishna gave him the Gita Gyan.
mhm,
That basically he asked that Kantya, are you prepared to take this divine knowledge? And to which Arjuna was like, yes, I am. And then Krishna asked one very important question, the final question, that is the fist is the gesture that you make a fist of ego, or or a try, or like a uh, bowl that is willing to capture the wisdom that I give you. तुमने
mm.
अहंकार की मुट्ठी बांध दिया या ज्ञान की अंजलि मांगी है पार्थ. So that's what he asked. And I think that is also what you are saying in this particular section from your book, that once we let go of our ego, understanding ourselves and finding our way back to that intelligence,
And
the divine
surrendering
intelligence,
our
becomes
inner
way easier.
consciousness to the divine intelligence from where we came and will be merged into something. That's what I mean to say.
The soul and the super soul concept, basically.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes. It's very interesting to see how Indian philosophies look at the same thing from so many different lenses.
Mm,
You know, say the The schools that believe in the Sakar philosophy look at it with a physical form. The Nirakar school looks at it from a formless perspective.
Hmm.
Like we see in many of Rabindranath Tagore's poems and songs also,
Hmm.
how he talks about the divine as well, but he
Hmm.
doesn't talk about the divine that has a form.
Hmm.
He more is more into the line with the naturalistic school of thought. So yeah, that is very fascinating. So now that you've spoken about this finding our ways back and surrendering to the divine intelligence, have you ever experienced a moment that completely changed your understanding of faith or consciousness?
That's a very interesting question, I think. And it actually varies from person to person, differs from person to person. But when I was going through a very tough level of experience in my life, I experienced something that maybe may appear to someone else as very imaginative kind of thought or some kind of utopian world kind of thought, but I actually feel that that was the reality, that was the truth that I felt that time, and I gained many other experiences that I've learned from them, people coming from different facets of our society. And I have also written down, jot down their stories also, not that stories but the real life incidents, and for the confidentiality I have changed their names. But I have learned one thing, that there is some divine force surrounding us. We are not alone. We may be lonely, but we are not alone. There is some divine force within us and at the same time surrounding our being. And actually, it protects us, inspires us, and that's why I chose the subtitle of this book as A Voice to Explore. This is the title of this book, A Voice to Explore, an explorative journey. And the subtitle is Let's Pay Some Heed to the Silent Whispers. So, whose silent whispers am I talking about? Is this the
Hmm.
silent whispers of our inner spark, the inner light, or the divine energy? I think the silent whispers of both, actually.
Hmm.
The divine energy that is trying to inspire us, protect us, guiding us to jot down our thoughts, to feel within, to in a very self-reflective way. And herein comes the concept of inner cognition and inner wisdom. Here comes the concept of inner wisdom also, inner cognition and self-reflection. And this is the thing that most of the time, I have also told you earlier that most of the time we fail to understand ourselves. We fail to perceive ourselves. Why are we here? What is our soul's purpose? We tend to forget about the fact. But this is the fact we first know. We first have to know it, recognize it properly, and then we can have uh, the communication with others as well. So it actually comes to me automatically and quite spontaneously. I regularly try to jot down the thoughts at my blog, at my website, and then it comes the self-reflection process. First, it comes to me, and then it comes in the form of this book, and now it's in front of all of you, a voice to explore.
Any particular personal anecdote or experience that stayed with you that you would like to
There
highlight?
are many experience actually. I cannot jot it down right now. I cannot remember it. But this is one thing I can say, that this is a kind of transcendental consciousness, and it is the power that can permeate, that can spread or uplift our inner consciousness to that level of divine consciousness. And it's actually more a feeling than an experience. So I cannot. It cannot be said in words, it cannot be written down in words. People may not understand it. All the readers need to do is actually to perceive it within, and it's a process, it's a continuous process, it's a long process, it's actually a journey. And that's why I choose the title of this book, A Voice to Explore, a continuous exploration that is to be explored, that is to be discovered.
Right, ma'am. Wonderfully articulated again. You just spoke about the fact that these kind of experiences need to be felt. You cannot really describe what you saw or what you felt, but you have to feel it from within. So,
Hmm.
but many a times, as authors, as speakers, we come across people who are rational minded, very rationally channeled, and also maybe skeptical to some extent. And usually, what happens is in these cases that when a person uses more of rationality and skepticism in their speech or in their actions, they
Hmm.
tend to ignore the inner feelings, the inner voices, because they cannot justify those things with rationality or rational logical explanations. So, as an author of this kind of a book, and as a person who works in this genre, how do you respond to readers who are deeply logical or skeptical about divine experiences?
That's a very interesting question that I must say. See, that this book is a voice to explore, and this is a book on spirituality, and not that kind of theoretical jargon that I have written in this book. This is a book on spirituality gained from personal experiences and practical. This is a book on practical spirituality. So that's why
Hmm.
I would like to say, first, just divide this question into two parts. First part is about the skeptical readers, about the skeptical persons. So the persons who are skeptical, I cannot help them because as I cannot, as we need to work on them. They are actually skeptical on anything. They're actually skeptical if you not judge them, but if you start to ask them some
Analyze.
question, analyze them exactly, you start to feel that they're skeptical of anything. Even they're skeptical of their existence also, of their own existence also. They're becoming cynical. So first we need to work on them. Why are they skeptical? Wherein lies this kind of cynicism? Where does it come from? And actually, what is their core belief? Is there any past experiences that they felt, and for that reason, they are being skeptical day by day. They are being cynic day by day. So we need to work on them. This is a different part, and the part when comes the person who are logical. So, spirituality is actually not something that I have also told you earlier. Spirituality is not something like some utopian kind of imaginative world. It's very much practical, that I mean to say. And it's a science, it's scientifically proved. The meditation process, the manifestation process, all of the processes. And the person who are logical enough, I think they have faith on themselves, they believe on themselves, they believe on their
Yes.
existence, right? So if
Hmm.
they believe on themselves, they can believe on the divine intelligence power also, gradually,
Hmm.
spontaneously, not quite automatically, but eventually and
Hmm.
gradually. It will take time for them. They're very rational. So if they're rational and if they're logical enough, so it's very much helpful for them, and they can have this book as a mirror for them also. Therein comes, once again comes the concept of self recognition and self reliance and self wisdom, that inner wisdom, inner spark. This book is nothing but just to rekindle that inner spark once again. We all have that inner
Right.
spark, that inner light within, but we tend to forget, we tend to ignore the fact. But herein lies the scientific way of dealing with
Rekindling
spirituality,
that.
and the person who is skeptical, we need to work on them. Why are they being
Hmm.
skeptical day by day? We need to know that actually.
I think a lot of skepticism comes with self doubt also.
Self doubt,
We start doubting
absolutely,
everything.
absolutely,
I
and
would I would like to share an anecdote over here if I'm allowed to.
yes, yes, go
Um,
ahead.
so I also I'm a very spiritual person by nature, and there was this particular time when I was going through a lot of tough situations, which made me come into this. Before I used to be an atheist before, so at this time I also found my newfound love for gym and all of that. So I was going to this gym, and there was this very strong man, uh, kind of a coach to me, who was also working out. And we were talking about books. And he told me a paragraph or some quotation from this book called The Secrets,
Mhm,
which is a very famous self-help book. I have not read that, but I have heard it a lot of times. And that exactly resonated with something that I read in the Bhagavad Gita. So I told him that, have you read the Bhagavad Gita? Because, you should read your roots first. You should read your Indian books first. I'm not going to Hindu, Muslim or something, but read your Indian books first, then go to Western
mhm,
canons. And he was like, no, but I find the Gita very intimidating. So I said, why is that so? Then he said that because in the initial preface to the Bhagavad Gita, the ISKCON one,
mhm,
Prabhupada writes that if you want to read the Gita properly, you will have to form a bond with God in either of the five ways, either as a friend, as a lover, as a disciple, as a slave, and there was a fifth as a son. So these are the five ways, the five rasas in which you can
mhm,
believe in Krishna. Then
mhm,
you can read the Bhagavad Gita. So he had a problem with that, and that's why he did not even proceed with the reading part. He just left it there.
mhm.
So I said, then why did you have a problem with that? If Prabhupada or the writer asks you to connect to God in either of the five ways, why was there a problem?
Mm,
Then he's saying because that means he's asking me to become a believer. He's asking me to surrender.
mhm,
So I said, then what is that thing in you that is not letting you surrender? There
mhm,
has to be an ego then that is not letting you do that. Then I don't think the problem is with the Bhagavad Gita. The problem is with you.
with
Because if
you.
anybody else shows you the path, you
Mhm,
will have to surrender in order to accept that. If
mhm.
you can't accept the instruction, the ego will always come and obstruct in the way. Be it Gita, be it Krishna, be it any other teacher. That stayed with him. And then he read the Gita later on in the course of our friendship.
And what happened
So yeah,
after that? After reading the Gita?
he 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 came and told me that a lot of things, I like you said, that it does match with the secrets. I
That
said because these
enlightened
were,
him. Finally, it
yeah,
enlightened him. Okay.
yeah,
Thanks to
yeah.
the Gita.
I
Okay.
don't know if the Gita enlightened him properly or not. At least he read the Gita, which is a
Yes,
very
yes.
good thing.
Yes,
He at
that's a
least
very
given the
good.
efforts.
Yes, yes.
But the that his experience that he could not read beyond that preface because it asked him to surrender in either of the forms. It made me realize that how ego-stricken of a world we live in,
Hmm,
that we
hmm.
cannot let go of this small of an identity of
And
ourselves,
most
that
of
oh,
the
I'm
time,
an atheist.
we
Hmm.
fail to differentiate between self-respect and ego. Most of the
Hmm,
people
hmm, hmm.
think that this is not self-respect, this is ego. But self-respect is a different kind of thing. Ego is a different kind of thing. So this is also another
I
point.
when Right. Yeah, you're very correct in that because we often mix up the two and we think that this is the
Mm-hmm.
essential thing that we should have ego.
Mm-hmm.
Ego to hona hi chahiye. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not the point.
Hmm.
And when I was that happened, I was in my ninth or tenth grade probably, and he is way older. He was in his 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not even think of the fact that he would listen to me, and I thought probably I would get this shooed away because I said that being a kid, but he did listen to me. And I got him because when I was first reading the Gita, first I saw the Mahabharata,
Mm-hmm.
I also had that ego kicking in. I was like, no, I cannot do this because I don't believe in Krishna. He's a womanizer. I cannot do this.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, no, let me look at it this way. Maybe I can see Krishna as the prophet, as the teacher
Mm-hmm.
who's teaching.
As
And
your
then I can
guide.
see the Mahabharata.
Guide.
Hmm.
Yes, yes. Hmm.
Yeah. And then I saw it. And then I became a believer. That's a separate story. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. Um, so like now that we spoke about ego being the barrier between knowledge and
Mm-hmm.
people. Also, ego is also the barrier between people forming bonds with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So my next question to you would be, as we can see, kindness is becoming rare in today's world.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think can spirituality exist without kindness?
Absolutely not. I personally cannot imagine a person being spiritual at the same time being unkind to someone else. That's not
Hmm.
possible. As kindness and spirituality, kindness, I think empathy, not sympathy. That I'm getting sympathetic to someone. This is not
Hmm.
empathy and compassion. These are very much connected to spirituality and go hand in hand together. Because in one of my chapters, I have already discussed in one of the bookstore at it was organized at your bookstore. So there also I have told that story. That was also not a story, but a real life incident of Jennifer and
Okay.
Joseph. Jennifer and Joseph.
Oh,
They had been a marriage couple, but after some years, Joseph ditched her. Joseph ditched Jennifer,
okay.
and she was absolutely in a total devastating
Chaos.
situation at that time. Yes, in a chaotic situation. But after some years, the woman for whom Joseph ditched Jennifer, this woman, that woman also left him, Joseph. And by that time, Jennifer healed herself, and she also built a healer's cottage, that is to heal other people. So
Okay.
Joseph knew from the locality, got to know about that, and he went there. So what Jennifer told me, I was so much astonished to see her compassion towards Joseph and empathy towards Joseph, and she was taking care of Joseph as like before. So I was very much astonished, and in surprise, I asked her, "Are you still in love with Joseph?" She
Hmm.
told me, yes, I am in love with him. But this time, this love is not that kind of romantic love affair, that passionate love affair. But this love is of compassion. This love is of empathy. This love is of divine
Hmm.
love. So this is the point I mean to say, that kindness and spirituality, these are very much connected to each other, and it actually not only heals ourselves, but also enlightens ourselves in a very explorative way, in a newer way. And this is the point I mean to say. And it is a spontaneous process of getting enlightened. When you are being kind to someone, when you are being empathetic to someone, you can recognize what is what the other person on the other side is feeling towards you, or is
Hmm.
feeling towards the society as well. So this is also necessary, being empathic. So
I really
being
agree to whatever.
and one point I would like to mention here, another point, that people may say that in this civilization, around the society, sometimes some kinds of offense is also going. Some offenses,
Hmm.
so criminal offenses are going.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
is it right to be kind to them? I would say no. They should be punished. Kindness is
Hmm.
for them. When kindness, unless and until your self respect is hurt, you can be kind enough. But when it's
Hmm.
getting hurt, you don't need to be kind. You
Hmm.
don't need to take revenge on others, but just move on from that position,
Hmm.
from that
Like
situation.
there should be self-preservation with kindness. It's
Exactly.
not
Self
that kindness
preservation
should
with
be a
that.
self-sacrificial thing.
No, 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 not like that. Yes, correct you.
And about the criminals, my pleasure. And also about the criminals aspect, I think we should show mercy to people irrespective of the fact that they're criminals or not, if they show scope of any redemption. There are
Ex-
people who are beyond redemption.
Yes, yes.
They, I don't think they should be shown any kind of mercy or kindness.
Mhm.
Like this is also not from my this is not a my word. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita to
Mhm,
Arjuna,
mhm,
when he is very skeptical about killing his own kinsmen
mhm, mhm.
and Duryodhana and all of that. And then Krishna says to Arjuna that for some people mrityu hi mukti hai, death is mercy, death is
This is the kind of
liberation.
liberation, because we all, that I have already mentioned, that we are the spiritual beings in human form. This is only
Hmm.
this body is actually the mortal shell.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm. We shall be
we are
perished.
going to
Hmm.
we are going towards another journey. Because
Right, right.
one lifetime's journey, this is another journey. That will be. So this is.
Right. So in this body, for those people in this body, no growth cannot be achieved anymore. So
Mhm.
this body should perish so that they can get a new shell and continue the journey from that particular body.
Their soul's
That's what
journey,
Krishna
their
said
soul's
in.
purpose. Their soul's
Yes,
purpose.
yes,
Yes.
definitely so.
Hmm.
Because like when we look at people, previously you talked about Jennifer and Joseph and how Jennifer was very compassionate to Joseph, even
Mhm.
after what Joseph did to her. I think what Jennifer could do is because she perceived uh, people after that incident beyond the body, because
Yes,
when we look at
of
us
course. Of
when we
course.
look at a certain somebody, we see it, oh, this is this particular person A, person B.
Hmm.
But what we don't understand that that person B was person A in the previous birth, will be person C in the next birth, and we are unaware of that entire timeline. But
Hmm.
there's a string that holds all of these actions and generations together, which we are not aware of.
Hmm.
So this is also something that I applied when I went through that tough time. We have this question in ourselves, na, ki, why did this happen to us? Why did they do this to me? Why was I the victim and why
Past
were they the villain?
karma, you mean to say.
That,
Past
and also
karma.
when you look at people uh, beyond the body,
Mm-hmm.
if you see all the people as part and parcel of the super soul,
Yes.
the thought for revenge, the thought for vengeance, and the
Mm-hmm.
this frustration, it tones down. Because as part and parcels of the same super soul, we come from the same origin, and we
Mm-hmm.
are prone to making mistakes. We are
Yes,
all in our we are all in our own soul's journey. So
absolutely.
that tones it down a lot. Might seem a little weird coming from a person's mouth like me. I'm really young, but this is what I actually felt. And when you shared your experiences, I had to share. I was compelled to share mine.
Yes, yes, of course. You can.
It was a wonderful time talking to you, ma'am, and it brings me to the close of the session. And my last question to you would be: how was your publishing experience with Excel books?
It was, in one word to say, that was an excellent experience with the Exceller books. In one word. But in a broader sense, to say that was a very cooperative journey, I would once again like to thank Dr. Shudipta Ghosh and Miss Sanjita Ganguly. They took a lot, and I had to just do nothing. I just submitted my manuscript, and after it got selected, they contact me and ask me for the publication, and I give them the approval, and the rest is the history. The rest is this: the boys to explore, a boys to explore. So that was a very wonderful and nice experience with
It
us.
was a lovely time talking to you, ma'am. Your discussion has sparked, as I would believe that the discussion will spark a lot of hope and regeneration in the readers and listeners' minds,
I
as
hope
well as
so.
it did for me.
Yes,
My
yes.
pleasure, ma'am. And for those who are looking to read A Voyage to Explore, the
Mm-hmm.
book is available as an ebook on Google Play and in its print versions on Amazon.in, Barnes& and Nobles, Bookscape, and
And
Booktopia.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Kobo, Bookscape, and in many other online platforms, and also in ebook. You told.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, on
right.
Google Play and Kobo.
Hmm. An excellent
Thank you,
bookstore
sir.
at College Street for the Kolkata book lovers.
Definitely. The Excella Bookstore is always open for its book lovers.
At College Street.
Uh,
Okay.
yes. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great day ahead.
Thanks to you also.